What's up, everybody? Good morning, and welcome back to another edition of the show. I am joined, as always, lately, Kyle Klingman out in Iowa, back in the Bob Dylan studio. How you doing today, Kyle?
Doing really good, and excited about our guest today, Mark.
I am too. My one thought from over the weekend was I watched the UFC on Saturday night, and the fans were back, and I think they were a little bit more into it and electric than normal, but man, what a difference it made. And not to mention every fight was kind of a crazy finish. But fans at events, wow, big deal in my book. Check it out at all?
Yeah,
Usman's
from Texas, right? He's right from where you're from, Dallas, but he's from Texas.
Okay, I didn't know that. I know he was Kearney, right? Nebraska Kearney?
Yep.
A loper, just like our old man JD. But enough with that. Let's get on to the show. Bring on our first guest. He is the brand new head coach at the University of Illinois. It's Mike Poeta. Mike, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Man, I'm great. Thanks for joining us. I know you're busy. I guess just kind of what's the last week been like for you?
So end of last week, it was pretty crazy. It makes you feel pretty good, just kind of the support and outreach. But I'm just ready to kind of get back to basically what I was doing before, developing these guys, the same kind of recruiting. So just ready to kind of get back to the normal routine. But yes, it was a pretty wild midweek.
Sure. And let's just step back for a minute. And you had a great high school career. You probably had a bunch of options for college. Was it like, I'm all in, I want to go to Illinois, or back in, when you're 17, 18 years old, did you explore around and consider as other places?
No, it was all Illinois. So I got really lucky. There was an All-American in 2002 for Illinois. His name's Griff Powell. Yep. And he got hired right out of college to be my high school coach. So I got extremely lucky. Now, the connection there was Griff grew up in New York, and his principal in New York was my principal at Highland Park in Chicago. So right out of college, there was that connection, and I got so lucky that Griff ended up in my high school. Now, my team wasn't very good, which really, really helped because Griff could focus more on me. He could wrestle with me all the time. So it made a really, really big difference. And kind of around that time, it was all Illinois. I liked the recruiting process. I took some recruiting trips, but in the back of my mind, I knew where I was going to sign and what coach I was going to call and tell him I was coming.
Why was that the case? Because you grew up in Illinois and you were familiar with it, or and then some?
Like a pride thing. I think we wear Illinois across our chest for like schoolboy, cadet, juniors, all that kind of stuff as we're growing up. And there was nothing that was going to be on my chest other than a black eye, something with Illinois. And we were extremely good during that process when I was getting recruited. Ton of like champs and finalists with like Terrapelli into Matt Lackey, and we were very visible. We were doing really well, so it was a no-brainer for me, and it was the place I wanted to go the entire time.
Sure. I think Johnson the head coach when you got there, and Heff was around.
Yeah. So Johnson was the head coach. Heff was the assistant. Hunter was my coach also the entire time. What's funny is I was just home the other day, and my nephew, he found this like little card that when I was at Illinois, they made these like playing cards basically for all the starters. And on the back, it was a questionnaire and everyone tried to be funny with it. And it said biggest fear. And I said Jeremy Hunter, because Jeremy Hunter is like about as intense. And when it comes to like putting you through workouts and conditioning, he has zero sympathy. He will get every ounce out of you. So 15 years ago, he was my biggest fear. Still sort of is now.
All right. And talk about Heff. I know he just retired, and you came back a few years ago. But what makes Heff's great? He's like this quiet, but I think very important person at Illinois. Seemingly quiet.
When you get to know him, he's very talkative. He's very talkative in practice. I felt like he gave very good like pre-practice speeches. The way he would talk to the guys before duels and things like that, he did a great job with that. I think in the public's eye, he comes across as a little quiet, but once you get to know him, there's a different side to him. And I think the biggest thing with Heff is every kid was like a son to him. All 35 guys mattered, and he put each individual before anything with the program. He was going to do everything for them to be successful, graduate, even at times where they maybe shouldn't have had a fourth or fifth chance. And he just believed in guys, and he really helped them. And the coolest thing with Heff when he retired was we had a kid on the team that just wasn't doing so well, and he ended up kind of parting from the team. And for 2-3 years after that, Heff never lost contact with him and stayed on him and made sure he graduated. And Heff retired, and he got a text from this kid, and it said, "Coach, if it weren't for you, there's no way I would have graduated. I walk May 5th. You better be there." And when I saw that text, I got really emotional. So I think that kind of sums up Heff.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I've heard a lot of guys within the Illinois program refer to him as a father figure, or like this, this guy that doesn't just care about me on the mat, but basically encompassing everything you just said. So you graduated, you left, right? And you got out and you were doing Team Poeta. How did that come about? And is that something that you thought you'd do for a while?
When I was in high school, it was just too far of a hike, but overtime was really big with Sean Bourmet.
Yep.
That was like the premier club in Illinois. It might have been one of the premier clubs in the country. But it was like about an hour 15. The time practice was with rush hour traffic in Chicago. I mean, I would have been on the road for 4 or 5 hours trying to make those practices every night. But for a lot of like training camps, they were there. And I just when I walked in and saw that a wrestling facility could be that nice, and just kind of like the working with the most elite kids in high school, like as soon as I walked in there, I go, this is what I want to do. So all throughout high school, all throughout college, I felt like my wrestling, I was trying to build my resume with that because I knew I wanted to start a club. And then, so as soon as I was done, I kind of got into that right away. I was thinking of a lot of different names for the club. And after talking to Mark Johnson, who's like a big figure in my life, he's like, "No, you gotta go with Team Poeta." I really didn't want to go with my last name in it, but he's like, "You got to go with it." And then, so my dad has a butcher shop named Poeta's Food Mart, so we're not very creative with our names here.
Yeah, but that makes sense, right? Brand it what people know, and people know the name Poeta, so that makes sense. What did you like about Coach doing the club, right? You're like, I went to overtime and I saw it. I thought, this is great. I'd love to do it. What did you like? And what surprised you, right? It's not just showing up for 2 hours and showing moves, obviously.
No, I mean, building the relationships and seeing these kids develop, like them basically showing up at your club and not even knowing how to take a shot. And 6 years later on Flow, they're ranked 8th in the country. Like it was just the coolest thing, kind of seeing their development, how much they meant to me, how much their families meant to me. So I think the relationships, and then just seeing them grow, and again, like getting attention with you guys. So one kid that I was really, really close with and had a good relationship coaching was this kid, Steve Polkowski, who went to Minnesota. He was kind of one of my early on kids. And I think he pinned or beat Zeke Moisey at Vegas early on, and it was like the headline on Flow, and you see stuff like that and you're like, holy cow, like these kids are my son. I have this amazing relationship with them, and then seeing them succeed is just such a good feeling.
Sure. What did you learn outside of wrestling about growing a business and the other side of Team Poeta, which I'd imagine was substantial?
Yeah, I think running the club that prepared me for being a head coach way more than if I would have just been the assistant the entire time. Because I wouldn't have had any kind of like business administrative skills, like behind the scenes. I would have just been running practices, a recruiter. So a lot of the behind the scenes stuff with the budget and the financing and kind of running a whole gym and having a lot of assistant coaches, I think that set me up for this more so than if I just out of college just continued on as an assistant.
Was the plan to stay at Team Poeta and build it forever? Or was there a plan when you came in? Or was it, I want to maybe eventually get back into college coaching, one, and then two, how did you get back into college coaching?
No, I really didn't. I didn't know, or I didn't think I was going to get back into college coaching. And in the back of my mind, like this is the place I love. So I kind of knew like if I ever did coach in college, it was going to be here. And 4 or 5 years ago, one of the assistants left, and I just had this feeling that Heff was going to kind of reach out and we were going to potentially talk about it. And Heff called me, and it was like within a couple conversations, he sold me. I went to my fiance. I said, "Hey, what do you think about moving down to Champaign?" And she was on Zillow in like 5 minutes looking for a house. So excited for the opportunity.
What was it? That's not easy to, I guess, give up your what you're doing, especially in your own program and your own business that you started. What drew you back in? What was it that Heff told you or said or pitch he gave to you to, yeah, all right, I'll do it. Let's go.
It's the level. So like what I was saying with the kids at the club, they don't even know how to take a shot, and 5 years later they're ranked high on Flow. But all wrestlers, and there's hundreds of us that are at a really high level, we want to get like utilized as best as possible. And I felt like this is a level I need to be at. I think I have the same mentality as these guys and can really help them and have a lot of tricks technically. And with the kids at the club, it's just you're that's step 10, and it takes them a long time to get there. And I think I really missed that like highest level.
Yeah, sure. That makes sense. Was there ever discussion or at least maybe a thought in your head that, hey, Heff has been here a long time. He's going to retire, and maybe there's an opportunity for me to become the next head coach. Was that in your mind as you decided 5 years ago to be an assistant?
Yeah, like very small. I knew that coming back here, that would be like the goal eventually. But the entire time I was here, it never once crossed my mind. I was just 100% all in on just being the greatest assistant coach I could be. And Heff was kind of getting up with some of the older head coaches in D1, and I mean I just knew the day would come at some point. It actually caught me a little bit off guard, but I knew this day would be here at some point.
Sure. And then what was the process like? Since it got announced, did you have to apply, go through an interview process, and et cetera?
Yeah, I went through the whole process. It was 0 to 100. So when Heff told me, I mean, it was like game on, interview the next day. So basically cramming all night like I was a student again, just making sure I had everything prepared to present that I'm the best guy for this job, the right guy. And it was a couple interviews. It was some dinners, and went through the process. I was sweating it out. I think I lost 5 to 10 pounds during this process. I had zero appetite. I was so nervous throughout it. And then kind of culminating at the end, it was a big relief, and I was really, really excited.
What is that? And you don't have to get super nitty gritty, but I'm curious, like on the interview process, is it, because you're like, I had all this material, whatever you said, like you were getting ready to make presentations. Is it a question and answer, sit at a desk thing, or is it like PowerPoint present to somebody or a bunch of people your plan?
That was a little bit of both. I think one of them was, now these administrators, I know a lot of them, but I don't know them well. So Heff was the one that was doing all the communication with them and seeing them all the time, and mine was more just very small talk, or just a lot of like, hi, good morning in the hallways. Yeah. So I think the first was like us kind of just being, all right, let's take a deep dive here and really get to know each other. And then the second one was kind of PowerPoint. I just really wanted to present to them, this is my vision of the program. We have a really good young team. We have a great foundation, and it was kind of like, hey, we're a really good team. We're a great team, and this is how I feel we're going to get to elite. This is how I feel we are going to win the Big Tens, how we're going to win the NCAAs and be in the boat of those best teams. So this is kind of my vision. I laid it out, and I think it was pretty easy because I was really passionate about it, and I truly believe in it. Yeah. So it was kind of one, very casual, getting to know each other better, and then second one, all right, guys, game on here. This is what I'm going to do.
Sure. Without giving, the entire plan, but Illinois is a great state, right? They're really organized at the high school level. They do great at Fargo every year. They have a lot of talent, folk style, freestyle, Greco. So what's going to be the key to that translating into Illinois' success. I think you guys won the Big Tens in like 2005 when you were on the team. How can that happen consistently and go for trophies and team titles at the NCAAs?
We really just have to lock in the state. We can't let those can't miss kids get away. The state of Illinois right now, though, it isn't like the strongest it's been in high school. It's very, very good individuals, but overall, I think it's a little bit down. Across the country now, though, Illinois wrestlers are doing really, really well. The only problem is they're at some other schools. So I think we really got to lock it down. The good thing about being an alum here is the amount of alum that coach in the Chicagoland area and really across the state, but that's kind of like the hotbed for wrestling in our state. I grew up there. So I don't know if you guys have heard of the organization, the IQWF.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it is like the classiest youth organization that there could be. I mean, their state finals, they rival the NCAA finals. The way these kids come out onto the mat and the presentation. So it's the best wrestling organization in the country. So I went through that just like all these best Illinois kids did. The State Farm Center here, our arena here, that's where the state tournament is. And that's the mecca of wrestling to us. Nothing is better. I mean, that just seeing that building every day on the way to work, I still get that like 16-year-old like emotion of just being so nervous in there. The state tournament being the most important thing ever. And so I kind of, if you're talking about these best Illinois kids, like I did it. We had the exact same experiences. And then now it's my job to just make sure that this is the program that can get them to where they want to be. This is the best program for them. That's how it was for me. And we really got to lock those kids in.
Sure. As far as the coaching staff goes, right, you got at least one slot to replace yourself because you moved up and Heff's out. What's it going to look like? Have you started looking for another coach? Are there multiple positions that are going to be available? What's the deal with the coaching staff?
So really, there's only going to be one position. Even before I got the job, I started talking to someone in particular, and so that was something that I just like right away tried to lock down. Jeremy Hunter is going to stay. Jeremy Hunter, I kind of talked about him at the beginning. He is such an amazing asset to the program. I don't know if people understand how much he had to do with Jesse Delgado's success. Now, that was kind of during the time frame that I ran the club, so I wasn't here, but everyone that was around said that Jeremy and Jesse had this relationship that was so tight, and they wrestled for hour and a half to 2 hours every day. Like they were drill partners. They were practice partners. They spent every day. Their communication was through wrestling. It wasn't much talking, and that is what brought Jesse to the next level. Absolutely, Jeremy Hunter has to have all the credit for that. And so his development of guys is just he does too good of a job that if he said he didn't want to stay, I would have been begging him to stay. So that was and Jeremy loves coaching. He didn't really and he's very content with where he's at, and he's perfect for that role. So keeping him, trying to lock down another assistant. I'm not going to rush into it. We have a lot of time. I just really want to find the right guy, and that's kind of how it is coaching staff wise. Just one addition.
So, but it sounds like you have your eye on somebody. Maybe you've even talked to him. Is that fair?
Yes.
Can you give us a hint?
Yes. No way. Bader, no way. Not a chance.
Upper weight or a middleweight or a lightweight?
Oh, no, don't. You're going to narrow it down. You're going to start going like
more or less than 160.
Like no, he's somewhere between 125 and heavyweight.
You suck. No, I'm kidding.
Mike, was Bader on the short list?
But no, he turned it down. There wasn't
He
even
did?
It was just him. He was the only name.
I did get the swag, but I was like, nah, too good where I'm
That's
at.
breaking news.
Did you have a question, Kyle?
Piles was second. He turned it down too.
Yeah. He'd be good.
I did. I had a
Equipment
question
manager.
for you. Actually, a couple here, Mike. Number one is you've articulated that you feel like you have a great technical mind. how do you take what you know and take it to the athlete so that they can acquire that? Because that's not an easy thing to be able to do, is take what you know and impart the knowledge so they can win matches. How do you plan on doing that?
Well, I think them developing a lot has to do with wrestling with them. So I wrestled with the guys all the time. I probably wrestled 4 or 5 times a week, and a lot of things while you're wrestling that, hey, right here, let's focus on doing this. Hey, this would be a really good option there. So I think that was a way that the guys really started kind of learning some of like the tricks I had, some of the technical stuff I had with wrestling with them. But I'm a big film guy. So watching film myself with the guys or with them, I think that's one of the biggest ways to grow. So I'm a big film guy.
And then on top of that, just going back to something that Mark had referenced in relation to Jim Heffernan, quiet guy, wasn't in it for the limelight, but as you know, a head coach has to be the front man and articulate his message. How will you articulate your message going forward so that we can understand your personality and know what Illinois wrestling is all about?
We got to wrestle an exciting style. I don't want to be boring. I don't want the fans in the crowd just bored to death. We have to be really exciting. Points have to be everything to us. Nonstop scoring points. And to be honest, I think the biggest thing needs to be consistency. So if you look at the recruits coming in, if you look at the guys on the team, everybody at some point in their career has had an amazing win, has had a super high level win. And the kind of the unfortunate part over the past couple of years has been it's just kind of been too up and down. So my goal is just to keep it consistent. It's everybody on our team is capable of beating the best guys. So we just need to do it week in and week out. I mean, just like, for example, someone like Justin Cardani. Justin Cardani, if you look at his record this season, was not very flattering. And there was only one match he was out of, and that was at when we wrestled Iowa. But other than that, overtime, lost by a point. So he's someone that really needs to bring his consistency to another level. And then, I'm talking now he's in the talk of being in the national finals. And some people can listen to this and be like, that's crazy. But if you look at Justin Cardani's stats, he's beaten or been right there overtime 1-point losses with every single guy. So getting guys just kind of over the hump and then keeping them at a consistent level up there.
You talked about, the way you impart knowledge on kids is wrestling with them and stopping them, making notes, this, that, and the other. Is that going to change? Or will that have to change? Not that you're not going to get to wrestle with guys, but are you going to be able to wrestle 4 or 5 days a week, being a head coach and the difference of responsibilities and roles?
No, I think the head coach has to step back from that role. And that's kind of the assistant coach I'm looking for is the guy to fill that gap. Someone younger, someone that has a lot of energy, a lot of the most current kind of techniques. Because when you go overseas, it's unbelievable the way that those guys evolve. It doesn't even make sense to me how they can just keep inventing new things. And a lot of the Russian guys that's who's doing it. So guys that go overseas a lot, as of late, pick up the most stuff, have the most current techniques. That's a guy I want to fill the gap of where I was at. But I have to transition into a role that I step back from that more.
You don't even realize, but you just gave me a little bit more information on who you have picked out in your mind. I don't know who it is.
There's a Bader. There's no chance.
I'm not saying you're going to tell me. I'm just saying Kyle, who do you think it is?
After you and then Piles, I have an idea, but I'm not going to disclose it. I don't want to get on the bad side here with Poeta going right off his head coach and try to make a name here.
Okay. I know we're running down. You got to be out of here by 11, right? You got something?
Yeah, around there.
Sure. So, restaurant. I know your family's in the restaurant business. What are the similarities between the restaurant business and wrestling?
Oh man, I don't know. One makes you gain weight and one makes you lose weight. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Work ethic. my dad started that business 45 years ago. I've never seen a person in my life work as hard, and just kind of seeing a role model in that, and then I just transitioned that into wrestling.
Okay, fair enough. So you're going to be off the mat more, as you said, and that's kind of what you have to do. What kind of things are you going to be doing, away from the mat that you weren't currently doing to help the program?
I think the head coach needs to focus on a lot of relationships with a lot of alumni and fans and friends of the program. We have some guys that are regulars coming into our practice, and that was kind of sat back, talked to them, was more of the relationship guy. And I think that's kind of where the head coach needs to be doing more than out there wrestling. But I still want to wrestle with the guys. I think that needs to be more of like an individual basis kind of thing throughout the day. But practice, kind of step back, try and have a little bit of the CEO role.
Sure. I had one other question, and it just slipped my mind, like a little brain fart. What was that gonna be? Son of a buck.
I'll slide in while you're thinking.
Roll for it.
I'll slide in with a question. Did you see this coming from Jordan Burroughs? You wrestled him in the finals. Did you see this legendary career coming when you wrestled him in 2009?
No, but it's been great. I mean, if you're gonna lose to a guy, you want it to end up being Jordan Burroughs, like 100%. Like that is the guy. What he did after that is the greatest excuse of all time. So his success, outside of when I was still wrestling in 11 and 12, I've been loving it. I'm one of his biggest fans. The career that he has put forth so far is absolutely amazing. It's so like admirable, and but his match with Dake a couple weeks ago, like right now in this moment, I don't know if I've seen a wrestler as good as Dake. The career that Burroughs put together, and he's beaten Dake countless times, but a couple weeks ago, I knew Dake was winning. I don't know if I've seen anything like Kyle that's happening right now.
Pretty amazing. Kyle, you're not trying to get Kyle Dake to be your assistant coach. Is that who it is?
No, not at all. I would have no shot. That would be the most amazing thing ever. But
sure.
Yeah, the way he's wrestling in this moment, I would be shocked if he loses in Tokyo.
Sure. All right. Well, there we go.
Not to jinx him, but that's where he's at. To me right now, he's like in the Satiev, Kudikov, like that category. Sajalayev, like he's about as good as I've ever seen right now as any wrestler.
He's kind of like the Matrix. Yeah. Okay, so we got one name to scratch off the list. Actually, three if you can call me and Piles, that aren't going to be assistant coaches at Illinois. But the other one, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to text you and you can be like, you're not going to say anything. All right, that's going to do it, I think. This was it. I don't think we did this. I know you came on the show a while back, and you mentioned everybody on our team's had a big win, right? And everybody in every career's had a big win or wins that stand out, and the opposite. So this one little game I like to play, it's wins and whoopings. So over the course of your career, is there one win? I mean, I'm talking kids club, whatever, through wrestling at the senior level, anywhere in between. One win that stands out as awesome for whatever reasons. Somebody who's awesome that you beat, or somebody a comeback or a loss avenged, and the opposite, just like the worst ass whooping you ever took. Like you came off the mat and you felt like less of a man. You can answer either one first.
Well, the biggest win one was about 100 years ago, but I still brag about it. I'll never lose it. Beating Metcalf in the finals of Fargo. That one I kept with me for a long time, telling people that one. On the other end. Oh man, I don't know why this one sticks out when you say this. I was having a really, really good season my junior year in college, and when they put out like Hodge Trophy projections, like I was in the top 3. It was something I was really gunning for. And then we went to Michigan, and I lost to Jeff Marsh from Michigan. And I walked off the mat. I'm like, I have no idea how that just happened, and I was just crushed about the Hodge thing now being done with.
Dang it. That's a tough one. Cool, man. Well, I appreciate those stories, and I appreciate your time. And I don't appreciate you not telling us who your assistant is, but I understand, or who your potential assistant is. We're going to crack this code eventually, but we're going to give you the last word. Anything you want to say about anything before we let you move on?
No, I mean nothing 100 in particular here. I just want to thank you guys. We have some guys wrestling at seniors and juniors, and kind of a pretty cool thing right now. We have a redshirt freshman, Danny Pacino. He's out in Italy. He flew out with Heff. Him, Heff, and Bert are out there. He's trying to make the Italian junior team this weekend.
Sweet. I guess I do got one more quick question. Right? You said Heff's taking this guy out there. What's Heff's, if anything, right? What's Heff's role going to be moving forward? Is he going to like be around the program a little bit? Is it like, man, I'm moving to Fahidi and whatever?
No, I want Heff around as much as he feels comfortable with it. I think he's like sort of in that grandpa role where like you don't have to be the one up all night while the baby's crying, but you get like the good stuff, like the good 2 hours of fun. So he gets the trip to Rome.
That's great.
So I think that's kind of the role that he will have. He's still like University of Illinois employee, but he will kind of take, I feel like, that role of just being around and enjoying some of the fun stuff.
That sounds great. He's deserved it, or he deserves it, and good for him. So, Mike, we're going to let you go.
For sure.
I know you said right around 11. We're just past the mark. So thanks so much, and best luck to you guys moving forward.
All right. I really appreciate you guys having me.
Thank you. Yep. Have a great day. Okay, Kyle, this is just, this coach thing, I want to know who he's thinking, because he's got somebody very, very much in particular in mind. Someone who goes on overseas trips, somebody who's young, somebody who's
Speaking of overseas,
evolution of technique, I kind of got parameters
someone?
here.
Okay.
I don't have any names.
Did you say fajita earlier?
I think I meant, I meant fajita.
Okay. Fajita and Tahiti together, I think that's what it was. So
Yeah,
I like that though.
fajita, Tahiti. Yeah,
I like
Tahiti.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it's a really, really, really small place. You probably never heard of it. You guys in Iowa wouldn't know. Cool. Well, that's gonna do it. That's gonna do it for today's show. Appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow with Braxton Amos. Talk wrestling, Olympic trials, maybe juniors and seniors. Who knows? So for Kyle Klingman, I'm Mark Bader. We'll see you guys. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah.